Kaelen Thorne stepped off the shimmering portal platform, the air still crackling with residual energy, an unsettling blend of ozone and burnt frankincense. His worn, utilitarian satchel, containing little more than a data pad, felt like a lead weight against his shoulder. His eyes, keen and perpetually assessing, scanned the colossal chamber. It was excessive. The Conflux Academy of Eldoria wasn't merely a building, it was an impossible tapestry woven from disparate realities. Arches of ancient, lichen-kissed stone soared hundreds of meters above, seamlessly integrated with polished durasteel walkways that hummed with a low energy. Holographic displays on obsidian pillars flickered, showcasing star charts beside glowing runes. The scent here was a bewildering mix: metallic tang, earthy parchment, and the cloying sweetness of arcane concoctions. "Welcome, initiates, to the Conflux Academy," a modulated voice boomed. "Your journey here marks the beginning of a profound transformation." Kaelen snorted. Transformation. He preferred predictable mechanics. He'd seen what uncontrolled power did. His settlement, Harmony Prime, prized logic, steady technological progress, untainted by the Force or magic. Yet here he was, an unwilling participant, dragged across dimensions by the very volatility he despised, all because of some latent, unpredictable something flickering beneath his skin. A dual-attuned anomaly, they'd called him. He preferred unfortunate accident. He tightened his grip on his satchel. He was here to understand the volatile powers manifesting within him, not embrace ancient prophecies. Survival was the goal. Self-reliance, his only doctrine. Other initiates milled about, a bewildering array of species and aesthetics. Beings with iridescent scales, others with 4 arms, some cloaked in robes shimmering with enchantments, others in sleek bodysuits hinting at cybernetic enhancements. A young woman with a staff carved with celestial patterns stood next to a boy polishing a lightsaber hilt. It was a carnival of the impossible, and Kaelen felt utterly out of place. "Please proceed to the central nexus antechamber for orientation," the voice announced again. Kaelen sighed, pushing past a hovering droid attempting to hand him a pamphlet on elemental manifestation and basic saber forms. He ignored its baffled chirp. He just wanted to get this over with. The nexus antechamber was even more bewildering. A vast circular hall, its ceiling a swirling vortex of projected constellations and arcane glyphs, was crowded with hundreds of students. Kaelen found a spot near a shimmering, force field-protected archive, hoping to blend into the shadows. An elderly, stoic Jedi master, whose robes seemed to absorb light, stood on a central dais, flanked by a regal woman in silver-threaded robes, her fingers adorned with pulsing rings. "Welcome, initiates," the Jedi Master's voice rumbled, resonating with a quiet power Kaelen instinctively recoiled from. "You stand at the heart of the conflux, a testament to realities intertwined. Here, we teach balance." The regal woman chimed in. "For millennia, our worlds knew but one path. Now, we walk two, forging a new, stronger one. Your latent abilities are the threads of this tapestry." Kaelen felt a prickle of unease. He didn't want threads. He wanted answers. He wanted to understand why his hands sometimes tingled with static, why objects occasionally drifted when he was angry, why the delicate sensor array in his old workshop had once shorted out, inexplicably coated in frost, right after he'd been frustrated. He wanted control, not vague pronouncements. A young man near Kaelen, apparently a wizard by the shimmering blue light around his fingertips, stumbled, bumping Kaelen's shoulder. A minor annoyance, but Kaelen's nerves were frayed. "Watch it," he muttered. The wizard, startled, recoiled, and a small, uncontrolled spark erupted from his palm, singeing Kaelen's sleeve. It was harmless, but it was enough. Something within Kaelen snapped. A hot, furious wave of indignation, of resentment at being here, at being touched by the very chaos he loathed, surged through him. It wasn't just the singed sleeve, it was the culmination of his past, the memory of shattered tech and weeping adults, all thanks to uncontrolled power. A guttural growl escaped his throat. The air around him shimmered violently. The polished durasteel floor groaned. The holographic constellations flickered, stretching and distorting. Several students cried out as their comm units sputtered and died. Then, the force unleashed. A raw, uncontrolled burst of telekinetic energy slammed outwards from Kaelen. Tables laden with orientation pamphlets scattered like leaves, a hovering cleaning bot flung against a wall with a clang. Simultaneously, an icy blast of arcane power erupted, painting intricate frost patterns across the floor and walls that vanished as quickly as they appeared. The air grew heavy, charged, a low thrumming reverberating through Kaelen's very bones. He gasped, staggering back, his own hands radiating a bewildering mix of heat and cold. His heart hammered. He watched, horrified, as an ornate pedestal displaying a crystal orb began to levitate erratically, crackling with blue lightning and a faint golden aura. This wasn't him. This couldn't be him. This was chaos. This was the exact kind of uncontrolled, destructive energy that had torn apart his life, that had taken. No. He shoved the thought down, backing away, desperate to put distance between himself and whatever monstrous ability had just erupted from him. A hush had fallen over the antechamber, followed by murmurs of fear and awe. Kaelen felt a dozen pairs of eyes on him. He wanted nothing more than to disappear. Well, that was quite the entrance, wasn't it? The voice was light, melodic, cutting through the tense silence. Kaelen whipped his head around, adrenaline still coursing. A young woman stood a few feet away, her eyes sparkling with almost mischievous curiosity. A cascade of fiery red hair, tied back with a simple leather thong, framed her face. Her practical, earthy green robes were adorned with embroidered, swirling elements. A small, beautifully carved wooden staff, tipped with a river-worn stone, rested casually in her hand. She looked utterly unfazed. Most people just trip on the stairs, she continued, a faint smile playing on her lips. You, however, went straight for the rearranged furniture with your mind and flash-freeze walls approach. Bold. Kaelen scowled. It wasn't me, he insisted, a hollow lie even to himself. The girl tilted her head, her smile softening. Oh, it was definitely you. The way the air snapped, the elemental surge, the distinct force signature, yeah, all you. She took a step closer, her voice dropping to a gentle whisper. Don't worry, it happens. Especially with the dual attunement. Dual attunement, Kaelen repeated, the words tasting like ash. You mean this, chaos? Chaos can be beautiful if you know how to conduct it, she said. And yes, uncontrolled mess is accurate for when it first hits. You just need to learn how to harmonize. She extended a hand. I'm Lyrian Vance. Elemental affinity, mostly, but I dabble. Kaelen hesitated, staring at her outstretched hand as if it might combust. Her energy felt bright, warm, unthreatening. It was a stark contrast to the churning storm inside him. Kaelen, he managed, not taking her hand. Kaelen Thorne. Lyrian didn't seem offended. Well, Kaelen Thorne, your chaos just introduced you to everyone spectacularly. Most students only get one of those energies sparking like that. That was textbook force push combined with a raw, untrained blast of elemental frost. Impressive, if you're into that sort of thing. Kaelen felt a blush creep up his neck. I'm not into that sort of thing. I'm into predictability. Systems that work. Things that don't randomly explode. Lyrian chuckled. Oh, you've come to the wrong place for don't randomly explode then. But you've also come to the right place for learning to make sure you're the one doing the exploding, not your powers doing it to you. She smiled. Trust me. It's not so bad once you get past the initial, oh no, I just shattered a window with my mind phase. Lyrian, a moment. The voice was quiet, yet it cut through the lingering tension. Lyrian's cheerful demeanor immediately shifted to respectful attention. Kaelen turned to see the Jedi Master approaching. Her robes, woven from shadows, seemed to absorb light. Her ancient eyes were piercingly intelligent. This was Master Alaravar. She stopped before Kaelen, her gaze resting on him with an intensity that made him feel she peered into his core programming. He stood rigid, refusing to flinch. Kaelen Thorne, Master Var said, her voice smooth. A powerful manifestation. And a clear dual attunement. It is rare to see such raw, untempered confluence of energies in one so young. Untempered is an understatement, Master, Lyrian murmured. Master Var offered Lyrian a small, approving nod, then focused on Kaelen. You are a product of the Conflux itself, Kaelen. A living bridge between Force and Arcane. The Academy was built for students like you, to help you find balance. What you experienced was the potential of your Conflux Legacy asserting itself. Kaelen scoffed. It felt like a malfunction. A system error. I don't want a legacy of destruction. Master Var's expression remained calm. Destruction is merely uncontrolled creation, Kaelen. Here, we teach control. We teach purpose. The disciplined focus of the Force can anchor the intuitive flow of magic. The creative freedom of magic can expand the structured potential of the Force. She gestured, and the still levitating orb descended gently. Your abilities are potent, Kaelen. Left untended, they will consume you, just as the chaos of the initial conflux threatened to consume all reality. Her gaze sharpened. You are now part of something greater than yourself. You have a choice. Learn to wield this power, or be broken by it. Kaelen looked from the serene Jedi master to the empathetic Lyrian, then back to the lingering frost and scattered papers, tangible proof of his uncontrollable nature. His past tragedy flashed through his mind, shattered components, screams, incomprehensible forces that had ripped apart everything he held dear. He had always believed knowledge and self-reliance were the only shields against arbitrary destruction. But now his own body was the source of the chaos. He was trapped. Trapped in a world of impossible magic and inexplicable force, with powers he didn't want and couldn't control. He didn't like it, but the master's words resonated with chilling truth. He had to learn. The alternative was unthinkable. All right, Kaelen said, his voice clipped, filled with reluctant resolve. Where do I start? Master Var's lips curved into the faintest hint of a smile. You start by learning to breathe, Kaelen. And then we begin. The chamber, slowly returning to its bustling state, felt vast and overwhelming, filled with a future Kaelen couldn't predict, but which he now, terrifyingly, had to face head-on. He felt a sudden, inexplicable chill. Not from the lingering frost, but from a profound sense of foreboding, a whisper of something ancient and hungry stirring in the distant shadows of Eldoria itself. The hum of the Academy's ancient systems, a blend of arcane wards and subtle energy conduits, was a constant, low thrum beneath Kaelen Thorne's skin. It was a comforting sound in its predictability, a stark contrast to the chaos he was being forced to embrace. He stood in the sparring ring, a sleek training lightsaber clutched in his hand, its azure blade humming with contained power. Focus, Kaelen. Master Alara Var's voice was calm, yet it cut through the din of the practice hall like a precisely cast spell. Her own lightsaber, a deep emerald, pulsed rhythmically as she moved with a dancer's grace. Feel the force flow through you. Guide your movements. Don't just think the next strike, become it. Kaelen parried her gentle thrust, the blades clashing with a soft sizzle. Logically, Master, if I predict the most efficient angle of attack, my success rate improves. He tightened his grip, trying to apply the same structured logic he used to debug a faulty sensor array. Master Var sighed, a subtle ripple in her serene posture. Logic has its place, Kaelen. But the Force is not a programming language. It is the breath of the cosmos, an intuitive partner, not a tool to be wielded solely by conscious will. She flowed past his guard, tapping his shoulder with the hilt of her blade. You are too rigid. You try to impose your will upon it, rather than listening to its song. He bristled internally. Song? He preferred algorithms. The Force, with its whispers and nebulous feelings, felt too much like the uncontrolled surges of raw magic that had marred his past. He knew the theory of the forms, the precise footwork, the defensive and offensive sequences. He could replicate them flawlessly. But the effortless grace of his peers, who seemed to dance with their blades, eluded him. He saw it in Lyrian, too, even in her limited lightsaber training. She moved with a natural fluidity that came from intuition. He hated intuition. It was messy. Later that day, the messiness continued in Professor Thorne's elemental manipulation class. Not his namesake, thankfully, but a wiry, excitable gnome with a penchant for pyrotechnics. Feel the fire within, young practitioners. Professor Thorne chirped, gesturing wildly at a shimmering orb of contained flame. Let it mirror the passion in your soul. Draw it forth, not with brute strength, but with empathetic understanding. Lyrian Vance, seated beside Kaelen, closed her eyes. A small wisp of flame flickered above her palm, swirling with iridescent blues and oranges. She smiled, then gently released it back into the ether. Kaelen stared at his own palm. He concentrated. He visualized fire. He even tried to recall the precise chemical composition of a flame, the heat of combustion, the energetic reactions. Nothing. Not even a spark. He felt a dull ache behind his eyes from the strain. Struggling with the inner inferno, Kaelen? Lyrian whispered, a hint of amusement in her voice. She pulled out a small, intricately carved wooden charm from her pocket, shaped like a phoenix. Try not to overthink it. Imagine the warmth of a hearth, the comfort of a candle flame. Magic isn't just about power, it's about connection. Connection? Kaelen scoffed, dropping his hand. It's about manipulating energy fields to achieve a desired outcome. And right now, my energy fields are refusing to cooperate. He pinched the bridge of his nose. He could feel something within him, a potent, restless energy, but it felt like trying to grab smoke. The force felt like a distant hum. Magic felt like static electricity. Maybe you're trying to grab it too hard, Lyrian suggested, her brow furrowing slightly. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. He ignored her, his mind still cycling through logical approaches. If force users could manipulate kinetic energy and magic users could conjure elemental forms, there had to be a common denominator, a fundamental particle or wave that could be quantified. But the Academy's teachings spoke in riddles of flow and harmony. Over the next few weeks, Kaelen's frustration mounted. He was undeniably potent, the raw energy within him often lashing out unpredictably. One moment, a stray telekinetic burst sent a training droid skittering across the hall. The next, a frustration-fueled tremor vibrated the floorboards, causing beakers in the nearby potions lab to rattle ominously. Master Var observed him with an unnervingly calm gaze. While Lyrian offered encouraging words and gentle nudges, he was still too stubborn to truly accept. Then the incidents began. Small at first, dismissed as typical Academy quirks. Lights flickered erratically in the ancient hallways, their advanced lumina crystals momentarily dimming before flaring back to life. Training droids glitched, their programming scrambling mid-maneuver. In the botanical gardens, some of the rare, force-sensitive flora began to wilt, their vibrant colors fading to a sickly gray. Just a power surge, Kaelen muttered during one such flicker in the library, his data pad momentarily blinking. The Academy's systems are old. Likely needs a recalibration. Lyrian, who was studying a tome on ancient protective charms, shivered. It feels colder than a power surge, Kaelen. Like something is draining the warmth from the air. A few days later, during a basic levitation exercise, a fellow student, a timid girl named Seraphina, suddenly clutched her head. Her face went pale, and the small rock she was levitating dropped with a clatter. I feel so tired, she whispered, swaying. Like I haven't slept in a week. Master Var was instantly at her side, her hand hovering over Seraphina's forehead. A faint glow emanated from the Jedi Master's palm. Rest, child. You've overexerted yourself. But Kaelen caught the fleeting shadow in Master Var's eyes, a flicker of concern that went beyond mere fatigue. He also noticed a faint, almost imperceptible tremor in the very air around them, a subtle wrongness that grated on his sensitive senses. He tried to dismiss it, to rationalize. Stress, dorm food, the strenuous training regimen. But the occurrences grew more frequent, more unsettling. Students complained of inexplicable lethargy, strange dreams, and a persistent feeling of being watched. Minor spells fizzled, and force sensitives reported difficulty connecting to the broader flow, describing a sense of static interfering with their attunement. One evening, Kaelen was alone in a rarely used meditation chamber, trying to force his inner energies into submission. He was attempting to replicate a simple force push while simultaneously conjuring a minor elemental spark. The force energy felt like a tightly coiled spring, ready to release with precision, but the magical energy, though present, refused to coalesce. It was like two incompatible currents trying to flow through the same circuit. It's not about forcing them together, Kaelen, Master Var's voice echoed gently from the doorway. She stepped in, her presence radiating a calm authority that usually settled his tumultuous mind. Tonight, however, her expression was unusually grave. It's about finding the river where they can converge, flow as one. I don't understand this flow concept, Master, Kaelen admitted, frustration finally cracking his stoic facade. Magic feels wild, untamed. The Force feels disciplined, but still demands this unquantifiable faith. I just want to understand the mechanics. And you will, she assured him, her gaze piercing. But understanding the mechanics is only part of it. The Force and magic, though distinct, draw from the same wellspring of existence. One is not superior to the other. They are complementary, like the inhale and exhale of a living thing. She paused, her eyes narrowing slightly as she surveyed the chamber. The Academy is not well, Kaelen. Its living breath is faltering. Kaelen felt it too now, undeniably. A cold dread began to coil in his gut, echoing a memory he desperately tried to suppress. It wasn't just the lights or the tired students. It was an underlying wrongness, a subtle but pervasive drain on the very atmosphere. The air felt thin, heavy, devoid of life. What do you mean, Master? He asked, his voice low. Something is siphoning the energy from Eldoria, Master Var replied, her voice dropping to a whisper. Not just the electrical power, not just the magical reserves. Something is feeding on the very attunement of this place and of its students. I sense it growing, a discordant resonance, a hunger born from the raw chaos of the conflux. She turned to face him fully, her eyes alight with a deep, unsettling clarity. That chaotic energy, uncontrolled, can warp and corrupt. It seeks to consume, to unravel. It preys on imbalance. The words struck Kaelen like a physical blow. Uncontrolled chaos. The phrase ripped open a barely healed wound, a flash of uncontrolled power, of flashing lights and crumbling structures, of a world dissolving into screams. He remembered the feeling of helplessness, the overwhelming sense of wrongness as something beyond human comprehension tore through his life. He looked at Master Var, his cynicism momentarily forgotten, replaced by a cold, hard fear. This wasn't some minor system glitch. This wasn't just Academy stress. This was something real, something malevolent. And the chilling echo he felt, the subtle drain on his own latent abilities, hinted at a connection far more personal than he wanted to admit. As Master Var turned to leave the chamber, her voice resonated with an unexpected urgency. The path to balance, Kaelen, may be the only way to save us all. You must learn to bridge the divide within yourself. And quickly. Before Kaelen could reply, a sudden, violent tremor rocked the entire chamber. The ancient lumina crystals in the ceiling exploded, showering the room with sparks. The ground beneath his feet buckled, and a deafening, guttural shriek echoed through the Academy's depths, a sound that was both primal and utterly alien. It was a cry of profound hunger, and Kaelen felt a sickening lurch as something within him, something he hadn't yet fully understood, seemed to answer its call, a surge of raw, untamed energy threatening to tear him apart from the inside. The flickering holographic projection of a force construct shimmered before Kaelen, a complex web of energy he was meant to dismantle with pure telekinetic focus. Beside it, a crucible bubbled, waiting for the precise infusion of a chilling charm, an arcane spell designed to solidify vapor. Kaelen scowled, his brow furrowed in frustration. Just feel the flow, Kaelen. Lyrian's voice was gentle, but her advice grated. She moved with an easy grace, conjuring small gusts of wind to cool her brow as she effortlessly manipulated elemental energies in her own practice area. Don't try to dissect it. Let it guide you. Guide me where? Kaelen muttered, swiping a dismissive hand through the air. The force construct wavered but held. Into another unpredictable surge? This isn't about feelings, Lyrian. It's about control, precision. And these two powers behave like oil and water. He'd spent weeks at the Academy, trying to apply the same rigorous logic he used in his old settlement's tech labs to his nascent powers. It wasn't working. Master Var preached balance, an ethereal concept that felt like a deliberate obfuscation of hard data. Lyrian spoke of intuition, equally vague. Kaelen craved a blueprint, a circuit diagram for his own mind. His lightsaber, a training variant with a dull emerald blade, hummed softly at his hip, a gift from Master Var that still felt alien. He'd practiced the forms, but the fluid movements felt more like a dance than a combat discipline. His own hands, more accustomed to calibrating power conduits, struggled with the arcane gestures Lyrian taught him. When he tried to weave the two together, to apply a force push while simultaneously trying to cast a chilling charm, the results were usually a sputtering, half-formed mess of energy that fizzled out or, worse, rebounded unpredictably. A low thrum vibrated through the ancient stones of the academy, subtle at first, then growing into a resonant hum that made the teeth ache. The holographic construct flickered violently, dissolving into static. The bubbling crucible froze solid, then cracked with a sharp snap. Alarms blared, a piercing wail that cut through the air, unlike any drill Kaelen had heard. "What in the blazes was that?" Lyrian exclaimed, her eyes wide as she instinctively raised a hand, a small, protective gust of wind swirling around her. Master Var, who had been observing their training from an elevated platform, was already moving, her emerald lightsaber igniting with a snap hiss, casting a verdant glow on her determined face. "This is no drill. This is different. A massive energy siphon. Get to the central plaza, both of you. Stay low." Before Kaelen could process the command, a sickening void opened in the air. Not a tear in space, but an absence, a chilling emptiness that seemed to devour light and sound. The air grew heavy, like a suffocating blanket, and a wave of pure dread washed over Kaelen, sharper, more invasive than any he'd experienced. He felt his own burgeoning powers, the hum of the force within him, the nascent spark of magic, dim, as if something was drinking from their source. The feeling was profoundly unsettling, reminding him of the helplessness that followed his personal tragedy, the uncontrolled energy spiraling out of control. Shadows, impossibly deep and writhing, stretched from the corners of the training chamber, coalescing into vaguely humanoid forms that seemed to absorb the light around them. Their movement was fluid, unnatural, leaving trails of residual cold and silence. They were not solid, yet they seemed to exert a terrible pressure. "Chronovore," Master Var hissed, her voice tight, her lightsaber a blur as she deflected a tendril of shadow that lashed out, leaving a scorched mark on the floor. "It's here. It's reached critical mass." Kaelen felt a scream building in his chest. His powers were muted, his thoughts sluggish, tangled in a web of fear and confusion. He tried to draw on the force, to push back the encroaching dread, but it felt distant, weak. He tried to conjure a simple spark of fire, a basic spell Lyrian had taught him, but only a faint wisp of smoke appeared, quickly consumed by the deepening gloom. "Lyrian, behind me," Master Var commanded, her stance resolute. She was buying them time, but even her formidable power seemed strained against the pervasive draining effect. Lyrian, her face pale but resolute, began chanting, her hands weaving intricate patterns. A sphere of crackling blue lightning began to form between her palms, a potent elemental defense. But as she struggled, one of the shadowy tendrils arced past Master Var's guard, lashing out directly at Lyrian. She cried out, her lightning sphere sputtering and shrinking as the shadow seemed to absorb its essence, leaving her momentarily stunned and vulnerable. Kaelen saw it all in a split second. Lyrian exposed, the tendril coiling back for another strike. The memory of the uncontrolled energy, the helplessness, surged back, hot and bitter. Not again. He couldn't let it happen again. His analytical mind, for once, shut down. There was no time for blueprints, no time for dissection, no time for logic. There was only now. His instincts, honed by years of quick thinking in precarious situations, took over. He didn't think about the force or magic. He didn't separate them. He just needed power. To protect. To stop. A surge raw and untamed erupted from deep within him. It felt like tearing open a new conduit, a bypass directly to his core. The force, no longer a distinct hum, mingled with the arcane spark, no longer a discrete flicker. They flowed, not side by side, but through each other, a torrent of interconnected energy. It was chaotic, terrifying, yet exhilarating. He thrust his hand forward, not in a Jedi push, not in a sorceress incantation, but in a desperate, singular impulse. A brilliant, emerald-white beam erupted from his palm. It wasn't a lightsaber blade, nor a spellbolt. It was something else entirely, pure, focused energy, humming with the familiar cadence of a Kyber crystal, yet resonating with the intricate harmonies of a powerful charm. The beam struck the shadowy tendril midair. Instead of being absorbed, the shadow recoiled with an ear-splitting shriek, a sound of pure agony that echoed through the chamber. The drain on Kaelen lessened and the suffocating pressure eased. The shadows themselves seemed to ripple and dissipate where the beam touched them, leaving behind a faint, shimmering dust. As the beam pulsed from his hand, something else happened. The worn, metal-cased datapad Kaelen had always carried, a personal artifact from his past, began to glow. It wasn't just a simple light. The metal casing began to shift, to reconfigure, elongating and twisting. A Kyber shard, previously unnoticed and dormant within its core, ignited, pulsing with the same emerald-white light. The datapad melted and reformed into a sleek, elegant staff-like instrument, roughly the length of his forearm, ending in a faceted Kyber crystal that resonated perfectly with the energy now flowing through him. This was not a weapon, but a conduit, a focal point. It was his Kyber-Wand. He hadn't been consciously channeling through it, but now, as he instinctively gripped it, the flow of energy became focused, potent. The Chronovore's manifestation in the chamber shuddered, an unholy cacophony of screeching filling the air as his combined power pushed back against the encroaching darkness. The shadowy forms began to retract, dissolving back into the deeper gloom from which they had spawned. The oppressive feeling began to lift, slowly, reluctantly, as if the entity was being forcibly expelled. With a final, desperate burst of energy, Kaelen unleashed another surge through his newly formed Kyber-Wand. The beam lanced out, striking the heart of the largest shadow concentration, and with a guttural, fading shriek, the Chronovore's presence fully receded. The oppressive void vanished, leaving behind only the lingering scent of ozone and something akin to burnt metal. Kaelen gasped, his knees buckling. The Kyber-Wand pulsed once more in his hand, then settled into a gentle, consistent glow, no longer a raw torrent, but a controlled river. He felt utterly drained, yet a strange sense of clarity, of understanding, washed over him. He had done it. He hadn't thought, he had simply been. Master Var, lightsaber extinguished, rushed to Lyrian's side, who was still recovering, rubbing her head. Then, the Jedi Master turned to Kaelen, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and concern as she took in his shaking form and the glowing implement in his hand. Kaelen, Master Var's voice was barely a whisper. You synthesized them. And your Kyber-Wand, it chose you. Manifested. Lyrian, now fully recovered, stared at Kaelen, her jaw agape. That was incredible. I felt it. The energy. It was like nothing I've ever sensed. Not force, not magic. Both. And that's your datapad. Kaelen looked down at the Kyber-Wand, its emerald-white crystal shimmering with an inner light, humming a silent song that resonated deep within his bones. The relic of his past transformed into the key to his future. He didn't have a blueprint, no logic circuit diagram, but in that moment of desperate action, he had found something far more profound. Balance wasn't about separating them. It was about accepting their intertwined existence within him. It was about allowing them to flow, to merge, to become a single, potent current. The Chronovore was gone for now, but its touch still lingered, a cold premonition of its return. And Kaelen, the cynical orphan, now understood what he truly was. He was the Conflux. And he had a weapon designed to wield its might. But he also felt the weight of it, the incredible, dangerous power that had just erupted from him. The Chronovore had been repelled, but it wasn't defeated. And now it knew what he was capable of. The true fight, he realized, had only just begun. The air in the training chamber still hummed with residual energy, a faint scent of ozone and burnt earth lingering like a ghost. Kaelen clutched his newfound Kyber-Wand. Its smooth, polished wood warm against his palm, the Kyber crystal within pulsing with a soft, internal light. He'd just defended against the Chronovore's ethereal tendrils, instinctively pushing with the force while simultaneously unleashing a crackling bolt of lightning, a chaotic, desperate act that had somehow worked. It had felt less like two separate powers and more like a single, explosive release. "Remarkable," Master Var said, her gaze fixed on Kaelen's wand, then on him. Her pragmatic expression held a rare flicker of awe. To manifest a Kyber-Wand in such a moment of crisis, the conflux truly flows strongly within you, Kaelen. Lyrian, her face still pale from the Chronovore's psychic drain, rushed forward and threw her arms around him, a genuine, relieved embrace. "You did it, Kaelen. You really did it. That was incredible." Kaelen, unaccustomed to such open affection, stiffened for a moment before awkwardly patting her back. It wasn't exactly planned, he admitted, his eyes still on the wand. He could feel something stirring within it, a latent potential that hummed in resonance with the strange new feeling in his own chest. His four senses, once a barely their hum, now sang with a clearer note, and a nascent tingle of arcane energy danced beneath his skin. The adrenaline began to recede, replaced by a chilling clarity. The Chronovore was real. It wasn't just a threat, it was growing stronger, its presence leaving behind a trail of fear and drained energy. He needed answers, and he needed them fast. "Master Var," Kaelen began, his voice firm, "what exactly is that thing? How do we stop it?" Master Var led them from the damaged training chamber, through quiet, echoing corridors, towards the deepest, most ancient section of the academy, the Conflux archives. Dust motes danced in the shafts of light filtering through high, stained glass windows depicting forgotten celestial events. Rows upon rows of scrolls, holographic projectors, and archaic data crystals line the shelves, an impossible blend of pre-conflux histories. The Chronovore is not truly a creature in the way we understand it, Master Var explained as they descended a winding, magically lit stairwell. When the realities merged during the Conflux event, the sheer, unimaginable energies unleashed were immense. Most stabilized, forming our new world. But a residual pocket of raw, chaotic power, a sort of anti-existence, lingered at the nexus point. It drifted, feeding on stray energy, growing in sentience and hunger over centuries. We call it the Chronovore because its ultimate goal is to devour the very fabric of our merged realities, to reset existence back into the void it believes is its natural state. It wants to unconflux everything? Lyrian gasped, her eyes wide. To erase us? Precisely, Master Var confirmed, pulling a heavy tome from a magically sealed alcove. Its cover depicted a swirling vortex of stars and arcane sigils. It feeds on imbalance, on uncontrolled surges of dual-attuned energy. It perceives our very existence as an affront, a chaotic mistake that must be corrected. Our academy, being a focal point of dual-attuned individuals, is a prime target. And Kaelen, with his unique innate connection, is a beacon. Kaelen felt a cold knot tighten in his stomach. A beacon. A target. Just like before, when uncontrolled power had caused tragedy. But this time, it wasn't his fault. This time, he might be the only one who could stop it. The weight of responsibility, a feeling he usually shunned, settled on his shoulders. So how do we stop something that wants to uncreate everything? Kaelen asked, looking from the ancient text to Master Var. What's its weakness? Master Var opened the tome, revealing intricate diagrams and ancient scripts. It feeds on chaos and imbalance. Its very being is sustained by the discordant energies of the conflux. Therefore, its greatest vulnerability is its antithesis, perfect balance. A harmonious, unified expression of force and magic, channeled with clear intent and absolute inner peace, would disrupt its core, unraveling its chaotic form. Kaelen stared at the text, then at his Kyber-Wand. Balance, not just using both, but making them one. Lyrian's eyes lit up. Like a perfect chord. Not just two notes played at the same time, but two notes blending into a new, beautiful sound. Master Var nodded. Indeed, Lyrian. It is a synthesis. The disciplined focus of the Force, channeled through the intuitive flow of magic. The Kyber-Wand is your key, Kaelen. It acts as a conduit, harmonizing the energies. But the true harmony must come from within you. The task felt monumental. Kaelen had spent his life valuing logic, order, and self-reliance, seeing force and magic as unpredictable, dangerous forces. Now he was being asked to embrace them fully, to make them coalesce into a single, perfect expression. Their training intensified. Master Var focused on refining Kaelen's force control, teaching him to visualize the energy not as a blunt instrument, but as a flowing river, capable of both gentle persuasion and devastating torrents. Lyrian, with her intuitive grasp of magic, helped him understand the feel of arcane energy, the tingle of latent fire in the air, the hum of earth beneath his feet, the whispers of the wind. Kaelen's first attempts to consciously blend the powers through his Kyber-Wand were disastrous. He tried to send a force push and a lightning bolt simultaneously, only for the energies to clash violently, sending sparks flying and nearly blowing out the lights in the practice room. He attempted to levitate a stone with the force while simultaneously charming it with a gravity-defying spell, only for the stone to shoot erratically across the room and embed itself in a wall. It's like trying to sing two different songs at the same time, Kaelen, Lyrian observed, shielding her eyes from a stray energy surge. You're trying to force them together. You need to let them flow together. Flow. Kaelen grumbled, frustrated. I need precision, Lyrian. Logic. You don't just flow an energy blast. But you do with magic, she retorted, demonstrating by deftly conjuring a wisp of flame that danced between her fingers with fluid grace. It comes from within, from your intent, from your emotion. If you try to control it too tightly, it snaps. Master Var intervened. Lyrian has a point, Kaelen. The Force is also an intuitive flow, albeit one disciplined by focus. You seek to direct it, not to dominate it. Imagine your inner self as a conduit, not a dam. Let both energies pass through, and the Kyber-Wand will help them interweave. Kaelen spent hours meditating, visualizing the two currents within him. He felt the vast, cosmic expanse of the Force, silent and powerful, and the vibrant, unpredictable energy of magic, like a restless fire. He began to understand that his past tragedy, the uncontrolled surge of power, wasn't due to the power itself, but the imbalance and his own inability to manage it. The Chronovore thrived on that same imbalance. Slowly, painstakingly, a rhythm began to emerge. He'd hold his Kyber-Wand, feeling the Kyber crystal resonating with both his inner force harmony and the arcane energy he drew from the environment. He practiced simple exercises, using the force to enhance the speed and trajectory of a conjured fireball, weaving a defensive force shield and simultaneously infusing it with an elemental ward, a shimmering barrier that could deflect both physical objects and magical bolts. Using telekinesis to manipulate a lightsaber while casting a debilitating hex with his free hand, turning himself into a whirling dervish of offensive and defensive capabilities. His lightsaber training, once a purely force-focused discipline, began to evolve. He didn't just deflect blaster bolts. He could imbue his parries with localized force pushes, sending opponents sprawling. He learned to weave a shimmering heat haze around his blade, turning a standard parry into a fiery riposte. The lightsaber became an extension of his blended will, not just a tool for the Force. His movements became more fluid, less rigid. He stopped thinking of force abilities and arcane spells as separate actions, but as different facets of a single, unified expression. A force sprint became imbued with a gust of wind magic, making him blur across the training ground. A telekinetic grip on a training droid was subtly reinforced by an arcane binding spell, making it impossible to escape. Lyrian was impressed. You're like a dancer, Kaelen. You're not just casting spells, you're living them. Kaelen, for the first time, almost smiled. It's less about control, more about guiding the flow, he admitted, quoting Master Var's earlier words back to himself. He was finally understanding. The Kyber-Wand, in his hand, felt like a true extension of his soul, a balanced conduit for the power that had once terrified him. Days bled into nights. The Academy's students grew increasingly uneasy. Whispers of students feeling drained, moments of disorientation, flickering lights, and strange cold spots became more frequent. The Chronovore was still there, lurking, strengthening, its influence spreading like a creeping shadow. It was probing, searching, hungering. Kaelen knew the final confrontation was imminent. He felt the Chronovore's presence, a discordant hum beneath the surface of the Academy, like a discordant note in the grand symphony of the Conflux. It was drawing closer, its chaotic energy pressing against the delicate dimensional fabric of Eldoria. One evening, as the twin moons of Eldoria cast long, ghostly shadows across the Academy grounds, Kaelen stood alone in the main courtyard. He gripped his Kyber-Wand, its crystal pulsating with a confident, steady glow. He closed his eyes, extending his senses. He felt the force, vast and eternal, flowing through the ancient stones of the Academy. He felt the vibrant, wild magic, alive in the air and earth around him. And then, beneath it all, he felt it, the Chronovore, a hungry, chaotic void, a wound in the reality. It was no longer a distant threat. It was here, its presence seeping into the very foundations of his new home. Kaelen opened his eyes. The Academy, usually a bastion of light and knowledge, seemed to subtly dim around him, the air growing colder, charged with an unsettling static. The Chronovore was making its move. He looked at the Kyber-Wand, then at his own hands, steady and resolute. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was ready to protect. He was ready to fight. The Chronovore wants to unravel everything? Kaelen thought, a defiant spark igniting within him. It hasn't met true balance yet. A distant tremor rattled the ancient stones, a low, guttural rumble that was both a shift in the earth and a scream in the force. The air crackled with nascent, unstable energy. The Academy, Kaelen knew, was under siege. The time for training was over. The time for the Conflux Legacy had come. The air in the Chamber of Whispers hummed with a preternatural stillness, a tension so thick it felt like static electricity prickling Kaelen's skin. This wasn't just an ancient ritual space, it was a wound, a nexus where the Chronovore had begun to unravel the very fabric of their reality. Twisted shadows writhed across the colossal stone walls, barely contained by the faint, shimmering light cast by Master Var's deactivated lightsaber hilt, which pulsed with a soft, steady force aura and Lyrian's carefully cast warding light spells. The Chronovore itself was a monstrous sight. It wasn't a creature of flesh and bone, but a churning vortex of corrupted light and shadow, roughly humanoid in its central mass, but constantly shifting, extending ethereal tendrils that pulsed with stolen energy. It floated ominously above a distorted altar, its presence a psychic shriek that vibrated in Kaelen's teeth. Whispers, both familiar and alien, clawed at the edges of his mind, echoes of fears, doubts, and the profound tragedy of his past, weaponized and amplified. It feeds on imbalance. Master Var's voice was calm, a balm against the mental assault, though her gaze was sharp, fixed on the abomination. It seeks to sever the connections, to return everything to chaos. Lyrian, her face grim but resolute, gripped her Kyber-Wand, a subtle emerald glow radiating from its crystal. It's like a wound that won't heal, Kaelen. And it's infected the whole nexus. Kaelen felt it too, a nauseating pull, as if his own dual nature was being tugged in opposing directions, threatening to tear him apart. But this time, it was different. This time, he understood the Chronovore's insidious goal, not to destroy him, but to break his internal harmony. He drew his Kyber-Wand. The obsidian hilt, now warm and alive in his palm, thrummed with the focused energy of its unique Kyber crystal. It felt like an extension of his own will, a conduit for the balanced power he had painstakingly cultivated. He ignited his lightsaber with a snap hiss, the vibrant blue blade cutting a sharp line through the pervasive gloom. The Chronovore recoiled slightly, a low, guttural hiss escaping its formless maw. It recognized the threat of a truly integrated Conflux Legacy. It's not just absorbing energy, Kaelen said, his voice steady despite the psychic pressure. It's unmaking us, fragment by fragment. But that's its weakness. It can't handle true balance. The The Chronovore surged forward, a cacophony of distorted whispers erupting from its core. Ethereal tendrils shot out, aiming for Kaelen's mind and body. He met the assault head-on. Lyrian force shield. Master Var commanded, igniting her own crimson blade, the traditional color of her ancient sect, reflecting her pragmatic approach to the Force. She leaped forward, deflecting a barrage of energy bolts that burst from the Chronovore with precise, economical movements. Lyrian extended her Kyber-Wand, weaving intricate patterns in the air, manifesting a shimmering, dome-like force shield around them, enhanced by a crackling barrier of pure arcane energy. The Chronovore's tendrils slammed into it, dissipating into showers of corrupted light, unable to penetrate the harmonious defense. Kaelen, however, didn't stay within the shield. He used the Force to launch himself, a blur of motion, directly towards the Chronovore. As he flew, he channeled a potent blast of telekinetic energy through his lightsaber, slamming it into the Chronovore's amorphous form. The entity shrieked, momentarily recoiling, its chaotic form flickering. But it was a diversion. As Kaelen landed, he simultaneously spun his lightsaber in a defensive arc, blocking a retaliatory swipe from a shadowy tendril, while with his Kyber-Wand, he unleashed a torrent of scorching fire, infused with the intense focus of the Force. The flames, crackling with an unnatural blue hue, seared the Chronovore, forcing another pained cry. This wasn't just fire, it was focused fire, burning not just with heat, but with the disciplined intent of a Force push. It's vulnerable to focused, balanced energy. Kaelen yelled, realizing his theory was correct. The Chronovore thrived on chaotic dissonance, but harmonious power disrupted its very being. Master Var, seeing Kaelen's tactic, adjusted her own approach. Instead of merely deflecting, she began to channel. Her lightsaber, a whirlwind of crimson light, danced with newfound agility, and with each parry, she subtly infused the deflected energy with a neutralizing pulse of Force light, redirecting the Chronovore's own chaotic power back at it, but in a purified, focused form. Lyrian, meanwhile, unleashed a barrage of elemental spells, crackling lightning bolts infused with the rapid precision of Force speed, gusts of wind propelled by telekinetic pushes, and shards of ice empowered with freezing Force stasis. Her attacks were fluid, intuitive, but now also possessed a newfound edge of disciplined intent. She was learning from Kaelen's example, her magic becoming more directed, less scattered. The Chronovore writhed under the assault, its form becoming increasingly unstable, flickering in and out of existence. Its whispers grew more desperate, its tendrils lashing out with renewed ferocity, attempting to drain their energies directly. Kaelen felt the tug, a cold, empty feeling reaching for his core, but he anchored himself, drawing on the peace within, the balance he had forged. He ducked under a wide, sweeping tendril, his lightsaber humming as it parried another, sending sparks flying. Then, with his Kyber-Wand, he manifested a shimmering shield of pure energy, not force, not magic, but a seamless blend of both, a tangible manifestation of the Conflux Legacy. The Chronovore's attack recoiled from it, as if striking an impenetrable wall of light. "The core!" Kaelen shouted, pointing his Kyber-Wand towards the Chronovore's shifting center, a vortex of concentrated darkness. "It's drawing from the original nexus point. That's where it's weakest." Master Var nodded, her eyes narrowed in concentration. "Lyrian, a binding spell. Give us an opening." Lyrian, without hesitation, began chanting rapidly, her voice ringing clear and strong. Emerald light pulsed from her Kyber-Wand, weaving into a complex net of pure energy, glowing brighter and brighter. With a final incantation, she flung the net forward. It wrapped around the Chronovore, tightening, momentarily constricting its chaotic form. The Chronovore roared, a sound of pure agony and rage, as its tendrils struggled against the binding. "Now, Kaelen," Master Var urged, her voice echoing with command. She herself was channeling the Force, a visible aura of power surrounding her, empowering Kaelen. This was it. The moment of truth. Kaelen closed his eyes for a split second, not to block out the chaos, but to feel it, to embrace the maelstrom while maintaining his inner calm. He felt the vastness of the Force, the raw power of arcane magic, flowing through him, not as separate rivers, but as a mighty, unified current. His Kyber-Wand vibrated, resonating with his very soul. He raised both his lightsaber and his Kyber-Wand, crossing them in front of him. A blinding surge of energy erupted from the Kyber crystal, not blue, not green, but a vibrant, shimmering iridescent light, a perfect fusion of force and magic. This was the Conflux Legacy, raw and pure, manifesting as a destructive force against imbalance. With a roar that echoed the Chronovore's own, but filled with purpose and resolve, Kaelen thrust his combined weapons forward, unleashing a devastating beam of pure, balanced energy. It wasn't a lightsaber beam, nor a simple spell. It was a coherent, focused spear of conflux power, aimed directly at the Chronovore's core. The beam struck the Chronovore with shattering force. The entity shrieked, a sound of ultimate despair, as the balanced energy tore through its chaotic form. Its swirling mass began to unravel, not violently, but systematically, as if being unstitched from existence itself. The tendrils dissolved, the whispers silenced, and the psychic pressure evaporated, leaving an echoing emptiness. A blinding flash of light consumed the Chronovore, then, just as suddenly, it was gone. Vanished. The Chamber of Whispers, which moments before had been a vortex of chaos, was now still. The twisted shadows receded, the air cleared, and a profound sense of peace settled over the ancient space. The humming, the unnatural tension, was replaced by a gentle, steady thrumming, the sound of reality restabilizing. Kaelen stood, chest heaving, his lightsaber and Kyber-Wand still glowing faintly. The power had drained him, but a deeper, more profound sense of clarity and satisfaction filled him. He looked at his hands, then at his Kyber-Wand, understanding now that it wasn't just a tool, but a mirror of his own integrated self. Lyrian rushed to him, her eyes wide with awe and relief. "Kaelen, you did it. You saved us." She flung her arms around him in an uncharacteristic display of emotion, then quickly pulled back, a blush rising on her cheeks. Master Var approached, her face serene, a hint of pride in her wise eyes. She placed a hand on Kaelen's shoulder. "You found your balance, Kaelen. Not just within yourself, but between the disparate philosophies. You didn't just defeat the Chronovore, you healed the Nexus. You truly are a wielder of the Conflux Legacy." Kaelen looked around the now tranquil chamber. He thought of his past, the tragedy that had made him fear power, made him cynical and self-reliant. He had come to Eldoria a broken, distrustful orphan, seeing power as inherently destructive. But here, with Lyrian's intuitive guidance and Master Var's pragmatic wisdom, he had learned that true power wasn't about dominance, but about harmony, responsibility, and protection. He looked at Master Var, then at Lyrian, and a genuine smile touched his lips, free of cynicism for the first time in memory. "It wasn't just me," he said, his voice soft but firm. "It was all of us. The Force and magic working together. Jedi and sorceress. Logic and intuition." He paused, then looked out towards the entrance of the chamber, where he could imagine the students and faculty of the academy, awaiting news. "Eldoria, it needs balance. It needs someone to bridge the gaps." Master Var nodded, a knowing glint in her eyes. "Indeed. And who better than the one who has mastered that balance, the one who carries the true Conflux legacy within him?" Kaelen felt a surge of newfound purpose. He had sought to survive, to understand. Now, he understood more. He understood that his unique nature, once a source of internal conflict, was now his greatest strength and, perhaps, Eldoria's greatest hope. The academy, once a place of reluctant confinement, was now his home, his responsibility. He looked at the peaceful chamber, then at his allies, his mentors, his friends. The Chronovore was defeated, but the work was far from over. The delicate balance of their integrated world would always need guarding, always need a steady hand. Kaelen Thorne, the cynical orphan, had found his place, not as a solitary warrior, but as a leader, a unifier. The Conflux Legacy wasn't just his power, it was the burden and the promise of a united future, a future he now stood ready to lead.